that's rushing, we slow it down, finding light where shadows surround, heart to heart where the truth is told. We rise together, stories unfold. The gold is within. If you don't go within, you go without. Every voice, every heart, it's what we're about. Together we rise, hand in hand, soul to soul. Warm, safe, and loving, making each other.
All right.
I love that intro song.
Me too.
God bless that song.
And sometimes you may catch me singing it.
That's true.
You know.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, we are mother-daughter dynamic duo. I am Coach Rochelle.
I'm Coach Alisha Schwartz, and we are here to talk about the Enlighten View series. And we're going to be talking about, look at that, 2 generations, 1 purpose, aligning baby boomers and Gen X values.
What a great topic that is.
We were talking about that a lot lately. And all we see now is generations.
Yes.
Everything is about the generations.
It's all over television. It's the commercials. It's just really
It's unbelievable. So I mean, for you being, you know, a boomer, right?
A boomer and a late bloomer. And I was and is.
Yeah. So what about the
Different
boomer,
the values.
the values? What are the values?
Well, I know one of them that is just so strong in me is loyalty. I am so loyal that sometimes it basically works against me.
Yeah.
Because I don't know when to leave. I just keep on going because I just know I can do it. I can get to you. I know. And my loyalty is really to not only my family, which is most important, but that loyalty even to clients, you know, and, you know, even though, you know, as you grow and evolve, your family may not like it.
That's very true.
And so what happens is that you have to basically walk away. A lot of times you have to walk away. When someone's very, very loyal, it's really hard.
Yeah.
And that's with friendships too. You know, all the friends that I had, I don't have them anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and I think that's part of this whole, right, 2 generations, 1 purpose, how we can align with baby boomers and Gen X values and how we can learn from each other. I mean, I know for Gen X values, we're very independent and we're very, you know, we like the work balance life.
We were codependent.
And you guys, you're right. And then we like the flexibility and the direct communication and being, you know, results rather than the process.
And I also noticed with your generation versus mine that it's the hard work. I have to work hard and there's no balance.
Yeah.
And there's no fun. It really isn't. And then I look at you and it's a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
You know, you know how to balance it. You know how to have fun.
Yes, I do. Well, because it's the independence, right?
Right.
The independence is, and it gives you the freedom to have the balance, because I could never just work. I love my work when I'm doing it, but then when I'm not, I'm good to go.
Yeah. No, and you could see me. I'm at nighttime, I'm doing certain things for work. And it's like, you know, there has to be a middle of a ground where you can stop and close the books and then just relax and have fun.
Absolutely.
You know?
So what else about that for the boomer, you know, and the values?
I think also the stability. You know, that's a very important thing for me. The security. Oh, yeah, because I didn't have it. And I never had it. So for me, and that's how it works even into work.
Business.
It's the same thing, the stability. I have to have the stability. I have to do the work. I have to work hard. I have to be loyal. And it's a lot. But I didn't even realize until we really got into all of this, I didn't realize that. I knew we worked differently,
Right, until we decided to do what is the boomer and what is the Gen X, and how do they work together and how do they not work together? And then finding the middle ground, because I know both generations really care about what we were talking about, responsibility and family and making a contribution. You know, all of that is important to both generations.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think from my generation, where I come from, you know, paying your dues, you have to pay your dues. And that's a lot.
Yeah.
You know, that is a lot.
Yeah. Because if I go back to the Gen X generation, it was the independence piece was huge. And I mean, I came in, I was wanting to be independent.
Right. Yeah.
And then just working. So really the independence was the driver to working and always wanting to have the finances and the stability in that way. So the independence was huge.
Yeah, and
in this generation.
And I think also in my era, where I came from, we, at least not all, but at least some of the people that I know, they didn't go to college.
Yeah.
They went to work. They met somebody, got married, and had children.
Yeah.
And so you became a housewife, you know, where you took care of your children. You did it was just, and believe me, it's a really hard job. It really is. And you can, at least myself, I was so committed, but I love being a mom.
Yeah.
I loved it.
And can you see though how that being a mom and being a boomer can really help now in the entrepreneur world and business, right? In business, and how you being able to take care of your kids and family. But that's the hardest job. And then just getting into the business and the workforce when you did, it gave you the foundation for that, really.
Without a doubt.
Because I didn't have kids. I'm not going to have kids. I'm 54. That ain't happening. Unless I adopted. And my generation, although my friends did get married young, that are in my generation, but there were people in my generation that never got married yet, or just became all about their work and about friends and about travel and about, do you know what I mean? More about that independence piece.
Yeah.
Which, you know.
I think it's also changed today a lot for the baby boomers, because I think things are so much more open, where you want to learn certain things about yourself. I remember seeing women that didn't even know how to write out a check.
Yeah.
You know, and depended on their husbands.
Right.
And to a degree, I did that as well. But then there came a time I just couldn't do it. And so I had to go on my own journey, my own path. But it led me to so many things that when I raised you girls, the information that I got as far as caring for someone, listening to them, hearing what they had to say, that brings in a lot to bring it into all areas of your life.
Yeah.
You know?
It has to on some level. And I know from my generation too, a big one thing is flexibility. You know, that's a big one, that flexibility piece. And, you know, I know a lot of our clients are, you know, for me, especially, I know for you, I have to have clients that are flexible too, because things change, schedules change, and you have to be willing to kind of shift a little bit. And it's important because it keeps things open and yes, boundaries, but a little flexibility in there is very important. And I know that's been
that's hard for me.
And it is for a lot of boomers.
Yeah, it really is.
Because they're so like set in their structure that when a Gen X comes along
and boy, oh boy,
and just says, wait, we could do it this way. Let's get a little bit more flexible. They're like, oh, no.
Yeah, and it is so true.
But it does help in business and in ways because you can shift and move and do something different on like a beat of a drum. You're not stuck on one way.
And
you're
it's
more
also
open.
And that's true. But let's say you have a client and you're just like trying to do something, but you feel something different, and you have to shift.
You got to change. You got to be flexible.
Absolutely. That's a real big one for me.
So yeah, I mean, we're just diving into it real right head on right
Yeah,
now.
we sure are.
And so we're going to come back in a few seconds with our guests, who are amazing women, and we're going to go deeper into this conversation. So we'll be right back. Wow. Hello, ladies, you're up already. Love
Yay.
it. So, so we're going to welcome our guests. We have Dortha and Alka. And so we want to get to know a little bit about each one of these amazing ladies. So who wants to go first, just to share a little bit about yourself, and then let's dive into the topic.
Yeah, absolutely. I can go.
Sure.
Well, hi everyone. My name's Alka Sharma, and I'm a marketing branding strategist here in Toronto. And I help entrepreneurs to craft their brand's message so they stand out in their industries, so they dominate their space and the industry. So crafting your brand's message is very important, how you truly stand out.
Very nice.
That's
Thank you.
cool.
Thank you,
you.
Dortha.
Dortha.
I mean,
Alka.
Alka. Sorry, because I was looking at Dortha up there and I see you there. Oh, thank you.
Dortha.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dortha Hise, and my company is Summit to Your Success. I help women entrepreneurs in the areas of automation, delegation, and systems. And I also blend in embodied leadership, which is elements of somatic practices and things like getting out into nature, gardening, bringing elements, maybe if you're not an outdoorsy person, bringing those elements into your home. And I'm just really excited to be here and looking forward to this conversation.
Awesome. Yeah. So let's dive into this conversation. So Mom, you can, kind of start us off with it. Well, I know you're chomping.
Well, let me ask you this. From listening to us, did anything resonate with you like, oh, really? That's how she operates. And wow, that's how she operates. Did any of that come up for you?
And it could be obviously in business.
Yeah,
we're all in business.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, you're both Gen X, correct?
Right.
Yeah. And I'm sure you have a boomer mother along the way somewhere out there in the world, right? And I'm sure you've worked with boomer people out there.
Right.
So my mom was saying, what do you see for yourselves in this conversation? 2 generations, one purpose, aligning the baby boomer and the Gen X values.
Well, what I can say, I haven't worked with, boomers, but what I can say from, what I've experienced as a Gen X myself, there's oftentimes there can be a clash because, a boomer like Rochelle, you mentioned, you work hard and you have your expectations, you have the loyalty, but then the Gen X, there can be a clash, but then how do you resolve? And that's by communication, because we have to. And I know for my mother, there was a time that we were clashing.
We understand.
I had to be the one, but I had to be the one to say, well, mother, she's not going to change. It doesn't matter from, her background. She's, she was a teacher and she's worked hard her whole life and she was loyal, but I have to be the one to change. So that's the one reflection I can just share as to, hearing both of you, what it needs to happen. Communication.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
It
God.
is so true. And again, like what you're saying is really powerful, Alka, is because whether it's your mother or someone that you run into in business, you might,
Right.
you know what I mean? And all generations.
Yeah.
And so how do you communicate with these different generations so that you're not clashing and there's some bridge there, right? And so it is interesting how this,
And it can be challenging.
And it can be.
If you don't know who you
how to
work with.
communicate
Yeah,
too,
totally.
and
totally.
finding the ways
Yeah.
to do that,
Right.
and being with people that are open to that, right? Yeah, so
totally.
great. Yeah.
Mhm.
Dortha.
I was going to just say, I actually was resonating quite a bit with some of the things that Rochelle was saying, even as a Gen X woman, some of the things like loyalty in particular is one of the things I feel like is one of my very strong, prominent values, like to a flaw, almost like to a fault.
Mhm.
And then as I was listening, I was like, oh, and then there's that time when it gets to the end of that rope and I can cut it off and be completely 100% done with something once I reach that point, right? My loyalty fuse is very long, I tell people, and then it's not. So I get
And
to
it's gone.
Yep. Okay, burning a bridge, driving a bridge, burning a bridge, and then getting over it, right? Like,
Yeah.
but that piece about communication that Alka mentioned, I absolutely agree, and I think that's one thing that Gen X is kind of forced into the narrative with people in the Boomer generation is that communication piece, because a lot of things, and I'm talking really about sensitive type of topics, where like our moms didn't talk about things. And we are talking with like our girlfriends and the younger generations about these things because we're taking a different approach. And so some of those kinds of conversations, I did not have a great relationship with my mom, and she has unfortunately passed away. But we did not have that great communication dynamic. In fact, like it was quite awful. So we couldn't even like find a common ground because it was just, and it wasn't even butting heads. It's just that we could not find anything in a common ground because there was a lot of baggage that my mom had from her upbringing. So, and that's to no flaw of her, like it's just who she was. So.
And so how did you resolve that within yourself? Because there are people out there listening, Dortha and Alka, who are listening to you all, and they can relate. Like, wow, it is about communication. How did she do it with her mom? And with you too, Dortha, it's like you didn't have that resolve with your mom. And it was, tumultuous, if you will. I use that word or however you want to use it. So how did you resolve that for you? So you can help other people.
Yeah, well,
or is it
yeah, it is, I think, an ever evolving thing.
True.
And I think there's a couple of things I would say. One is I spend a lot of time in nature, which gives me a lot of reflective and like inward focused time. I attribute a lot of my healing journey to that because I have found when I come back, I have peace in my heart about certain things. And I do have peace about my relationship with my mom. And I know that I can talk to her anytime. Like she's always kind of there. Anytime I see a butterfly when I'm out on the trail and it lands on me specifically, not just that I see a butterfly, but it lands on me, I know that that's my mom checking in and saying hi. So it's like this dynamic that I've like a little bit like rewritten the narrative slightly. And it's a way that I've able to turn the page without like bringing, trauma into the picture of like everyday life. And the other side of it is journaling. So like the physical act of journaling is my other piece.
Yeah. It's interesting because my mom and I are together quite often. And, we always say, like, when we're working with people of all, especially mothers and daughters, like, we're examples for you, but you're not going to have the same relationship. There's no way, because it's just not possible, because every relationship with mother, daughter, or friend, family, whatever, is going to be different. So how can we all, learn generations to ways in which we can communicate in business, because there are plenty of people out there, especially, and Gen X to Gen X or Gen Y or Gen Z, but we're, your generation is
Listen, you
is
can't get rid of me
pumping.
so
You
quick.
can't get rid of the boomers. No, we don't want that. So, okay.
Yeah, it is. It's very, very, very true. So I have a question to ask of you. And this is all about leadership in business. How do your generations approach work and leadership differently? And what becomes possible when we blend these values?
Do you want
You
us
want
to
me to read it
repeat
again?
it?
Could you repeat that, please?
Yeah.
Sure. Now I'll put my glasses on. When you're a boomer, you got these things going.
Even when
for
you're
you.
not a boomer.
Well, I know,
have
but
mine
still.
too.
How does your generation approach work and leadership differently? And what becomes possible when we blend those values?
That's a great question. And I think how Gen X, how we approach leadership in a way, what is authentic? And I think authenticity, if you're not authentic, whether you're a leader and, in a business or you're leading a family, you're authentic, and it's how you show authenticity. And I think a great leader has to have a trait of being authentic, has got to be compassionate, has got to be empathetic to an employee, a team member, or a family member. You've got to be empathetic. If you can't be empathetic and you can't show those values, then you're not a leader. You can't lead. And so I just feel that the Gen X really have to show the authenticity side of them to really make them who they are, who they represent as a family member, as a leader in your business. So I think all those are very prevalent, and how Gen Xers really have to be that role model for their families as well. So the family and business, they do go hand in hand.
They do. And that is one of the things about Gen X is the authenticity piece. So you nailed that right on, because that is really something that the Gen X really value, is being authentic and showing that. So I love that, because it really does show in everything, not just business and leadership. Is your family,
right? And I also think it's in the listening. I mean, for whatever it's worth, all these boomers, as far as I know, want to be heard. They just want to be heard.
They do.
And it's really important. It really is. So I think that's a really great thing to also bring into business, is being in that listening of somebody, because a lot of times we're in another listening. But when you're really focused in on that person and really looking into their eyes, they know you're with them also. You know what I'm saying?
Which makes you a great leader.
It does.
Right?
It does. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Alka. That was great. Thanks so much.
Can I just tag on that, Rochelle? Can I just quickly tag on that?
Yeah.
And I think that's very important too, because when you are a great listener, then you have the sign. You show the signs of being compassionate. You show the signs of being empathetic. So you got to listen to your employees. You got to listen to how are they feeling. Tune in with them. 100%.
And not being said, things that aren't said, but you're in that place of their listening. You can feel something other than what they may be saying.
True.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, Dortha.
Well, I echo that what was just shared, and I think that listening is a huge missed opportunity, shall I say. I think a lot of people are listening to respond rather than listening to hear or to be present. So I feel like that's a big piece, as well as two things: freedom and responsibility. So I would say Gen X, that's part of the reason why there are so many entrepreneurs in this generation, because we wanted that freedom and that independence to be able to, take a weekend off or take time, like in a few weeks, we're taking a whole week off to go backpacking in part of the Grand Canyon. And I couldn't probably do that very easily if I were somebody in a boomer situation, because I would have a different tie to the work that I do. It would be a once a year vacation, because I remember it was once a year and it was very special. And now I think Gen X, and I'm sure the next generations down, they're celebrating that time off. They're incorporating vacations into 3-day weekends, really maximizing the time that they can have out of the office, because what I have personally found is when I take time to disconnect, it allows me to come back and plug back in more strong and more tuned in, right? Because I'm getting all of that crap out of my head. And I can actually clear it and then come back into my day-to-day things. And the other thing I mentioned, which is responsibility, I think our generation has been pretty big about, not big, but I mean big on taking ownership of things and taking okay, this is mine and I own it, and I messed up or I did this or whatever, and we seek to correct it rather than putting something under the carpet, or maybe we just don't talk about that. We're just going to tiptoe around it and maybe it won't happen again. Those are kind of the two that came out to me when you guys were talking about that. And I do think listening is a big piece, which of course ties into communication. So I see the full circle being knitted together here.
Oh, yeah. And especially in my generation, my parents put everything under the carpet. You're not allowed to talk about that. So, you start creating all these different things coming up.
But I will say, because I had a mom that is a boomer, that because she started her journey on this, learning and growing about transforming herself, that I watched that. So even though I thought, wow, that's weird, when I was young, oh my God, what is she, a weirdo?
Oh, she's chanting.
She's going to this breath work thing. What the heck is wrong with this chick? That eventually what it did was, and that's the gift I think that we have together, is that it opened up that level of communication where I felt safe to share whatever. It doesn't matter, because she was there to hear it, never judge me ever. Honestly, I really can say that, which is very rare. So that's a gift, I think, for people out there too, is that it's never too late to work on yourself. You know what I mean? And that no matter what generation, especially the boomer, because there are a lot of boomers that do not and will not. And so I feel that, that's one of, I think, your missions too, is to share that with the boomer generation, that, it's possible that you can heal these things and then come to the other side, So I felt very fortunate that I did have that kind of mother where I could express. But people out there, listen, even if your mom's not alive, like you were saying, Dortha, you still can make peace with it because it comes from within you.
Yep.
It definitely does.
So you can't
where the chanting and breath work comes in.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right. Box breathing is a real thing.
It is a real thing.
Oh, yeah.
That's why there's so much out there today about that.
Yeah,
Totally. Okay, so we have another great question for you. Go ahead, Mom. You're doing a great job there.
And basically, it's really about communication,
It's
which
all-
we're just leading, which is the most important thing, too, is that to talk from a place within yourself that is authentic, and that you can tell when someone's authentic and when someone's bullshitting you. You just know it. It's right there. Mm-hmm. And so when you can feel it, you can see the body movements, you can pick all of that up. Mm-hmm. And so communication is so important. So the question, I can go on and on. I won't. This is my generation. I have so much to tell you.
And I reel her in. I'm like, come on, let's reel it in.
So the question is, how do we each express ourselves differently? And what would shift if we truly listened for intention, not just words?
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a great question. I absolutely love that. And I can relate to that because, I just want to share, because I know there was a period of time in my life where my mother and I, we clashed so much that I was okay. We would communicate okay when I was in London, but over the phone, her and we just clashed so much. At that period of my life and at that time, I was so reactive. I didn't want to listen to anybody. I didn't want to listen to what my parents had to say. And so my mother in particular, I know very well that communication, and there were times I did feel bad. So I'm just talking about, because communication, it really has to be the forefront, and especially for Gen X. And so what happened, when I realized I had to go introspection, I had to realize as to what am I doing? It's not my mother. She's not the one to change. I have to be the one to change.
Yeah.
So any Gen Xers, you have to be the one. You've got to realize that it's not your parents, it's not their duty to change. We have to be the one to change, and to make the change, you have to own. So I had to own myself as to, what am I doing? Because otherwise I'm going to destroy my life. I'm going to destroy myself. And I didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
So Rochelle and Alisha, I had to go inwards. I had to look at myself. What am I doing? I'm going to destroy myself, my mental health and well-being. And so when I did that, now today, my mother and I, we're just amazing. Just like you both, we're just amazing. When I go to London, when I talk on the phone, especially, I just listen. It's what we just talked about. So amazing.
That's
That's
great.
awesome.
That's great.
But you're saying the main thing, and
Yeah.
I know we're going to have Dortha and we're going to wrap up, but that's really
Yeah.
true in that you have to be the one.
Yep.
It's all
Yep.
about you. It's never about the other person, because we're affected by it. We got to look.
Right.
So absolutely, absolutely beautiful, Alka. That's greatly said. Beautiful. Yeah. You have to be the change in what you see in the world.
Yes, you do.
Exactly. You got to be the change. Yes.
That's it.
Dortha.
And then we'll wrap up.
Well, I think I don't know that I could add any more to that. I think that what I would say is really, taking ownership of, how we show up in the relationship, whether it's with our mother or with a client. Like I do work with some boomer women in my business, and there's a different dynamic in our relationship. There is what I sometimes will call mom energy, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not so good. And I get to choose whether, because that's the beauty about being an entrepreneur and in life in general, we get to choose where we show up and how we show up, and leading with our heart and just putting our best self forward every day and trying to be a better version of ourselves than we were yesterday, I think is what I would say.
Beautiful.
Said. Perfectly
Great
said. You guys rock.
this. And we'll probably have another series. So
Yeah.
it's always available for you. You ladies are amazing. Thank you so much. You add so much value to this beautiful topic. I know people out there, they're going to be listening. They're going to be like, wow, where are these ladies? And we'll have all your information. So
it's just been, thank God you understand the older generation, the boomers.
Yes, you haven't,
it's just,
thing,
it feels so good, because so many times we're pushed off to the side, and we have so much to give and so much wisdom to share from our experiences that people can learn from.
It's true.
Yeah, it
Very
really
true.
is.
Yeah.
So with that, thank you.
You're the best.
We just celebrate who you are, and we appreciate you.
Yeah, we really do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're awesome.
All right. So we'll be right back, and we're going to give you a little action and nugget to take with you from this beautiful topic. Hello,
Right.
We're back. So we're wrapping it up. Wrap it up. So today was amazing. We love the ladies that were on, Alka and Dortha. They're awesome. Thank you so much for your contribution. So going to give you a little action step for this topic, okay? 2 generations, 1 purpose, aligning baby boomer and Generation X daughter. So here's an action. You can ask yourself on a daily basis, you can just say, what's one value that guides me today? What's the one value that guides me today? And what is it? What is it? So let's say the value that guides me today is integrity. And then do something to bring forth that integrity in your life. Yeah?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yes, totally.
So that's our little nugget.
Yeah.
We will see you real soon. And until then, sending you tons of love.
Lots of love.
Mwah.
In a world that's rushing, we slow it down, finding light where shadows surround. Heart to heart, where the truth is told.